Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this very interesting little watch right here. This is the Orient Mako II. First off, though, I want to thank my buddy Josh. He runs the Journey Win Junk blog and loaned this little guy along. Thanks for that, Josh. This has been one I've been really curious about. Next thing, size comparison here. This is not a very large watch. I mean, seriously, it just isn't. Here it is against the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean, which is another big mechanical diver, but it is way, way bigger, way, way thicker. Here it is against the Citizen BM8180, which is a really compelling mechanical piece and a little bit smaller than this guy. Here it is against the Omega Seamaster. This is an earlier version of it, and actually this is probably its closest analog on the desk here. It's nice and thin, etc. But this is a quartz watch, so that makes it a little bit more reasonably sized. And then here it is against another Orient watch, the Orient Bambino. So you can see very similarly sized. And let's get a couple of quick measurements for you real quick. Do everything in millimeters because the watch world is more reasonable. And we've got around 40 millimeters side to side here. The lug-to-lug distance, which is really important for figuring out how something's going to wear on your wrist, comes in around 47 millimeters, which is nice. The overall thickness of this guy at its sort of thickest point comes in around 13 and a half millimeters, which is absolutely fine. And then the watch bandwidth here, we will see if we can get a look at. Come on. I want to say it's a 22. And indeed, it is a 22. So, there you go. That's your overall size on this little guy. Next thing, this is an Orient watch. Orient is a company that is owned by Epson Seiko over in Japan. It's an interesting piece, and they do some interesting work. It's sort of the budget wing of Seiko in a lot of ways, although Seiko has some pretty budget-friendly watches as well. Then finally, this is the model FAA 002D9. There you go. So let's talk about the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of the Orient Mako here. So on the first, on the good side, that is, we have a really nice size. Honestly, I'm tired of really big dive watches. I mean, I like my really big dive watch, this is true, but at the same time, so many watch companies are doing nothing but these monstrosities. And this is a reasonably sized piece. Yeah, it's a little bit on the taller side, but it's a mechanical, whatever. But it fits under a shirt cuff. It's not huge, and I can wear it on my 6.5-inch wrist, absolutely no freaking problem. See here, it wears just nicely. There's no concern about that. So I like that very, very much. Next thing, this is a very, very legible sort of watch. If you just kind of look at it from a glance, absolutely 100% you were able to see the hands. That would be even better if the date window was white text on blue, which I think would be nice, or even white on black. But at the same time, it is still very legible in pretty much any lighting conditions as well, because the hands have a little bit of reflectivity to them. So even if it is a little on the darker side, you can still get that little glint of the reflection off of those hands, although it's not polished quite as much as you'd think. Next thing, the dial on this guy is attractive. You can see there's a little bit of a haze here, just due to the scratching this on the mineral crystal here. But at the same time, it is a beautiful dial. And if I use a little bit of light on the subject here, we can get a little bit better glimpse of the sunburstitude to it. Yeah, see, right there. That's absolutely a nice thing. I'm a fan of that, and it makes this watch, frankly, just a lot more attractive than I think it could otherwise have been. And so the dial on this guy is absolutely very nice. Next thing, and one other thing to highlight here, you can see that every one of the indices, every one of the hour markers, as well as the numbers at 12, 6, and 9, as well as the date window border, are all applied. These are separate pieces. It's not just painted onto the dial in the same way that the 200 meter, that'd be a really crappy water resistance, is painted on there. So I like that very much. Next thing, the Loom on this guy is actually surprisingly good. Let me charge this off camera real quick with a really bright freaking flashlight. And there we go, and we are charged. And then I'm going to kind of shield the camera from the light here, and you can see that the Loom is glowing like crazy. It is really powerful Loom. Seiko has good Loom compounds, and this is very good Loom. It lasts very well, it's well coated, it's very thick, it's very legible overnight. I like the Loom on this very, very much. It's well done, 100%, so that's very, very good. A lot of cheaper watches fall out in the Loom category, but this one's okay. Next thing you can see here, this is a day date watch. It says Friday as well as 27. That gives you a sense of both the day and the date. This seems like a silly thing for a lot of people, but for some people in some sort of lifestyles, if you will, it's very easy to get temporarily discombobulated, not remember exactly which day of the work week it is, and so that can be a helpful thing. I'm a big fan of it. The movement on this guy is very nice. This is the in-house movement Orient F6922, and it has some nice advantages, some nice features, especially relative to some of Seiko's lower-end divers. It is an automatic watch, which means it has a little weight in the back there, which will wind the watch as you wear the watch, which is good. So if you wear this guy on your wrist every day, chances are you're never going to need to wind it ever. But in case you do, it does hand wind. You can hand wind it there. You just need to unscrew the crown first. Screw down crown, by the way, which is a great thing. It is also a watch that has a hacking movement. So watch, I'm going to pull the crown out all the way, and the second hand stops. This allows me to very, very precisely set the second hand, which allows me to very precisely set the time, which is always a nice thing. And it also has a quick set feature for the day and the date. So watch, I'm going to change the day by 1. Just move it forward. Oh, hold on, I'm going the wrong direction. Need to pull this out to the second position. First, I'm going to change the day. There you go. Now it's Saturday. Then I'll go the other direction, and I'll change the date. Now it thinks it's tomorrow. Wow, time travel, amazing. But that's actually a really nice feature because it just makes it easy, no matter when you take the watch out of the safe, so to speak, to get it set up back to the time it was. So all of those things make for a very nice movement, and I can't argue with that. Next thing, this does have on it a diver's bezel here. Let me screw the screw-down crown in real quick so you just get a better look at the watch there. The screw-down crown, the diver's bezel is a beautiful thing. It is a unidirectional bezel, which means although you can very easily turn it in this direction, you cannot turn it back in the other way. And that's great. That means that you can always add a little bit of time. You can always take away time, but you can never add time if you're trying to time something. So I appreciate that very much. And the thing is, a lot of people look at me like, Nick, you're not a diver. I don't dive. Why do I need a diver bezel for? The thing is, you probably want one because it's a very inexpensive and easy way to time things. Let's say you get on a flight for 16 hours or something like that. Yeah, I know that's a bad decision. But what you can do is you can rotate the diver's bezel such that it is, it's pointing to the hour that's going to be when you get off the damn plane. And then you just watch the hour hand go around, and when you get there, you get off the plane. These little things are nice. They make a nice detail, and it's handy even for like, okay, I gotta pick up pizza up in 30 minutes. Okay, we can make it 45, which point you would turn the bezel around so it's here, and then when the minute hand hits, there you go, get your pizza. Little detail, but it's a thing. And also, I got to say, the pip for the bezel there, this little part at the top there, that's Loom too. Can't complain with that. And by the way, Loom's had a chance to fade now. Still going pretty good, so that's nice. And then finally, on the good side, this is a water-resistant watch, and it is 200 meters water-resistant. What this means is that, practically speaking, you don't need to worry about water when you're wearing this watch. Assuming they've done everything right with the screw-down crown, I assume they have, this watch will be, just fine for pretty much any situation. Technical diving, maybe not, but the thing is, you're not technical diving, and so you don't have to worry about water. You can shower, hot tub, whatever, it's going to be freaking fine. So that's great. And so you don't need to think about water. And so all of that, to me, is the good here. This is 200 meter water resist with a diver's bezel. Very nice movement. It's a day-date watch with good loom, attractive dial. It's very legible. The size of it is just great. I wish more people were still making reasonably sized watches. To me, what is really great about this, what's really Mako and me happy, is the price on it. This is a $150 watch, and that's a very reasonable price point for a mechanical watch. The thing is, you're getting something that's very full-featured here. It hacks. The second hand stops. It's an automatic. You get day, you get date, you get quick set, you get good water resistance, you get good loom. Honestly, this is the best mechanical budget watch I've tried yet, and it beats the pants out of their Seiko entry-level divers, which are missing a bunch of features, which don't even hand wind. I can't even freaking do that. So I think that's what's great about this guy, is that at $150, this makes it a really compelling option for a bunch of people who might otherwise have, not be in the mechanical price range. So that's good. On the bad side, unfortunately, the polishing on this guy is not stellar. Given this guy has been worn, it's been used, it's been loved, but even still, the polishing is very soft. I mean, you can tell that somebody went at this with a polishing wheel, but without a whole bunch of skill. And so rather than getting very sharp lines between things, you get these rounded corners, as opposed to on this Omega, which, given, is a much more expensive watch. In fact, this watch is about Oh, good God. I don't even want to think about how more expensive this is. I think 60 times? Whatever. Either way, math is hard, and I'm not going to go there. But either way, it's less well polished. And similarly, the edges of all the indices, although they're kind of there and you can tell they're metallic, they're not polished in the same sense that, again, making the unfair comparison here, that the Omega are. Is this a big deal? No, not really at all. But as a result, this feels a little less like jewelry and a little bit more like a sports tool. That's fine, but it's a thing. Next thing, I gotta say the typography on the day date is not impressing me much. It's okay, but the thing is, it doesn't match any of the other typeface on this watch at all. It just kind of seems like it's out of nowhere, like they put the date wheel from some other watch on there, and I'm not in love with that. Next thing, the mineral crystal on this guy is not all that great. My buddy Josh actually, he has a job where he's outdoors and he's constantly beating on. I think he's in construction, and so you can see there are little scratches all over this crystal here. This is just a simple fact of life. When you have a mineral crystal, because this is a mineral crystal rather than a sapphire crystal, you will take scratches. It will scratch up, and you will not be able to remove those scratches without either replacing the crystal or doing a really expensive repolish thing. And so that's not a great deal. That's not a great thing. And that's one of the big areas where you pay a price in an inexpensive watch like this. Next thing, this has a very loud and scratchy rotor. I'm going to see if I can show this off, but you're probably not going to be able to hear it because there are going to be other things rattling. But here we go. Let's try it. No, unfortunately, I don't think this phone microphone's going to pick it up, but it feels on the hand. Because you get like a tactile feedback when you've got something like this. It feels on the hand like it's very scratchy, like it's very rough. That's not something I love. And similarly, the winding feel. When you pop the crown out of this guy and try and wind it, it just feels awful. It feels scratchy. Like even the first turn from a dead watch is just like, it sucks. And so as a result, this sucks. I'm not a big fan of that kind of really wretched winding action. It doesn't do it for me at all. Next thing, the end links on this guy are hollow. What you can see here is that there's not actually a chunk of metal here. There's just like a hole in here. And as a result, the whole bracelet is just a little bit more rattly and unfortunate. And frankly, that's the last bad thing here, is that although the bracelet's fine, it works, it stays on the hand, it is very rattly, it is very unfortunate. And I mean, even on the hand, this guy it feels like you're wearing a freaking maraca all day long. It's great. I mean, you're hiking along there, mountain lions are going to hear you before you, that's a bad joke. Do not use this as mountain lion protection. Wear a freaking bell or something. But still, the bracelet is just not stellar. I mean, it's rattly. It's kind of ugly. I mean, every part of this you can kind of tap and get sound, and it's just not great. So, to me, all of that is the bad here, is that the bracelet is rattly, not so great. And links are hollow. It's got an awful winding feel, a loud, scratchy rotor. The mineral crystal, it just isn't that great. Scratches really easily. The day-date typography is pretty poor. And the polishing on it throughout is honestly not that impressive, but it's an inexpensive watch. I can't beat up on it too much. On the ugly front, unfortunately, the accuracy is just not good. It's at 10 seconds per day, this particular piece here. And you're not guaranteed that. You could be even worse. But the thing is, that's really unfortunate. That means you're about a week about every week you're going to be a minute fast. That's just not good. Because well, this is a watch. It has one job, which is to keep time accurately. And if it can't do that, that's not good. And more specifically, especially when your most basic quartz watch, your Casio F91W, which goes for $9, is able to keep time an order of magnitude more accurately than this guy. Actually, 2 orders of magnitude, because 10 seconds versus 0.1, that's not something I love. And so, unfortunately, although you could regulate this, take it to a watchmaker and have them do better, no. I'm sorry. You had one job. Accuracy, and this isn't doing that job. I get it. Mechanicals are fine. All the mechanical purists go like, 10 seconds a day is great. Like, no, it's not, jackass. It's a minute. Anyways, I digress. But to me, at least, that's very ugly, is that this is a watch that has one purpose, and it's not doing that exceptionally well. So, there you go. Let's go to the final conclusion, which is still, even despite my complaints, that this is a really good watch for the money. I mean, it is at some level perfectly functional. It's got a very nice bracelet. I'm sorry, it's not a very nice bracelet, but it's got a decent enough bracelet. It has very nice loom. That's very nice. It is nicely enough finished for the price, for the cost, etc. And aside from the inaccuracy, I feel like the watch is functionally pretty good to go. But the thing is, it is also clearly an inexpensive watch. The finishing is kind of so-so in the greatest scale. The rattling bracelet ain't that impressive. The mineral crystal is going to scratch more than DJ Jazzy Jeff. And, the movement just feels janky. The rotor, it just feels like rattly crap. and then twisting it. Oh, God, no. And the inaccuracy, let's be real here, is not good. I mean, given it's a $150 mechanical watch, you don't really have the right to expect any better, but it's still in the land of you had one job, and it reinforces my feeling again and again that if you want a budget watch, you should just buy a really nice quartz piece and be done with it, because you'll usually get better or equivalent finishing with much, much better accuracy. And you can get solar long-term, but even with that all said, I think it's still a pretty decent piece. It's functional enough that I probably could wear this every day. It wears nicely, and none of the problems are huge, especially given the price tag on it. So although there's still room, absolutely 100%, for going higher up. I mean, things like the Seiko Turtle, the Steinhardt 500. Really great mechanical pieces to go from here. But the thing is, if somebody asks me for a budget-friendly mechanical watch and they won't take quartz for an answer, honestly, this is probably where I'm going to wind up. So anyways, I hope this has been interesting, that I properly oriented you to the pros and the cons of this watch, and that you have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of the day, and that this will make you very happy in the future. Bye now.